Good morning. I served on one occasion in a parish where they'd put an extension on. It had been quite a simple rectangular building, and they'd put on a sanctuary and a chancel on one end of it. And when I was there, suddenly cracks began to develop in the walls. And the architect came along and looked at the building and examined it. He said, "I'm sorry to have to tell you," he said, "but the foundations aren't good enough. And as a result, over time, there's a slight movement, and that movement has caused these problems. And it did take quite a bit of work to put the building right and to make sure it was sound and was able to be used." Foundations are so important because without a proper foundation, the rest of the building that goes up on top of it becomes insecure. And I've often felt that with our Christian lives, one of the main reasons that Christians feel insecure is because they don't understand what their foundations are. And that is why I started speaking about the Torah, these first 5 books of Moses. Because as we look at them and as we examine them, we begin to see the foundation of our faith. We've now come towards the end of Genesis, but as we come to the end of Genesis, let's look back for a moment and see what it is that we found as we examine Genesis. First thing, of course, is that we found was that God had created the world. This is not a cosmic accident. God has created the world. He, in fact, created the heavens and the earth. And in creating the heavens and the earth, he had a purpose. And that was to bring children to maturity. He wanted to bring children into existence. He created 2 levels of existence, one a spiritual level, and in that level there are beings who exist and are face to face with God, spiritual beings. We only know them as angels because when we come into contact with them, they're usually carrying a message. But there's a whole host of beings and different ranks and different structures for which we are completely unaware. And he's created a material universe, the material universe we see around us. And within that universe as well, he's put human beings, you and I and all the rest of the human race. Many people will think and talk about evolution as somehow we have developed from the basic slime. But I want to assure you that the foundation of our faith says that God has created us. We are created beings, just like the angels are created beings. And we, like them, are given free will, because God does not want robots. He is in fact looking for beings who will submit to him and do it his way and become like him. But in so doing, they must be able to do it freely, without being controlled. And so we have this God who has created the heavens and the earth. Now we're told from the scriptures that God created the earth in 6 days. Well, that doesn't surprise me, because being God, he could create the whole universe in 6 nanoseconds. But for some reason, he says he has created it in 6 days. Again, you see, we have been told by the enemy and through all the people trying to advise the educational society that in fact it's all evolution and it took billions and billions of years. Well, I don't know how long it took physically as far as we are concerned, but God said he made it in 6 days. And I just accept the fact that that is what he said, and therefore I accept it because he has said it. God does not tell lies. If you begin to assume that God tells lies, the whole building just falls down. The foundation is wrong. You have to accept the fact that God speaks the truth. If you begin to believe that the things you read in the scriptures are not true, then quite simply you find difficulty in hearing God or speaking with God. Because when God says something to you, you have to stop and think, is that correct? Is that right? Whereas, in fact, you should come to a point of saying, this is what the Father says, this, therefore, it must be right. I don't understand how it's going to work out, and I don't understand why certain things are going wrong. but I will accept the fact that God has said it. God also shows us that because of free will, man has rebelled. But not only has man rebelled, but the angelic beings he's created in the heavens, they've also rebelled. And these are very powerful beings, these angelic beings. In fact, the firstborn of them all, Lucifer, has rebelled against God. He wanted to be like God. He said, why should I worship God? I want to be like God. I want all the angels to bow down and worship me. And in a very real sense, that's exactly the same thing has happened with man. God has created him. And almost man said to himself, I know what God is telling me what to do. I know what he's advising me to do. I want to do it my way. I want to be my own God. I want to decide how things are going. It's the same sin. It's the same difficulty. Well, Satan rebelled against God, and then he caused man to rebel against God as well. And all the sin and all the muck and all the problems in the world at the moment is due to that particular sin. But God knew about it even before he created the world and has taken it all into account. I'm going to carry on with this probably next Monday.